every year they say that broad match is getting better, and every year they're saying that queries are getting more complex. So broad match is just becoming, I would say, more important, especially with the complexer queries that we're getting.
All right, Adriaan, welcome to the PPC Mastery Podcast. It's really good to have you. And before we get started, I just wanted to tell you that I really respect you and how you work and operate. I always tell people when they ask me, how do you stay up to date and how do you get your news updates? I always mention you. I have to shout out Thomas as well, 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, because he is also like probably the original news update guy on LinkedIn. So we also always have to shout him out. But you are the number one source for me. I don't see anyone who's posting as often as you, as fast. So just wanted to say that I really respect that. And it's awesome to have you here on the podcast. So before we go into, we're going to be talking about news, trends, Google Ads. Before we do that, Adriaan, tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
So most people maybe don't know that I go to the gym 6 times a week. So besides news, I'm also outside, and I have a life outside of LinkedIn and Google Ads. And I'm into powerlifting. I think my best deadlift was 250 for 3. So
kilos.
It's okay. Yes, kilos.
Ooh.
So I'm doing all right. And just like LinkedIn, I also want to push that to the max. So we will see where we go to, but I'm hoping to do 300 for 1 in 1.5 years.
Wow. So 250 kilos, I think in pounds for the people from the US, that's like 550 pounds or something like that. That's crazy. Wow. Nice. So the second question is, what is something that you believe about Google Ads that most people would disagree with?
Okay, yeah, I already know one thing. So this is a weird thing maybe, but I believe that a conversion bid strategy can work with a low amount of conversions, because I've done some tests and I've seen it work better than manual CPC. So I don't know what's going on, but I've seen it work with even like 10 conversions per month, for example, that it's just outperforming the other strategies. So that's why I will always keep testing things, and you never know. Sometimes it does not work, but in some cases it did work. So
interesting. So that just proves again that you just need to test and experiment for yourself, right?
Yes, heavily.
Cool. So Adriaan, I'm actually personally wondering, how did you get started with Google Ads, and when did you develop an interest to share so many news updates as you're doing?
Yeah, so it basically already started in school. I was doing a course in marketing, and then we had a few things that we could do with Google Ads. For example, we needed to go to a company and we needed to start Google Ads. So that was really the beginning, because I did education in online marketing, e-commerce, and sales. It was one of the first schools in the Netherlands that gave that course.
Nice.
So that's really how it started it. And I even had one webinar about online marketing, and they told me the chances that online marketing had. And then I was immediately switched on. I was like, okay, this is really interesting. Because normally I was used to reading books about traditional marketing. And this sounded just way fancier with online tools. You could measure things, for example, create and build websites, for example. So that was really interesting. So that's where it started.
Yeah. And then from there, how did you end up doing Google Ads?
So when I was almost done with school, I started already as a freelancer, but I was more in general marketing. And I did some internships with LinkedIn growth and also a bit of marketing and Google Ads. But it was more just giving some small tips and looking into the system. So when I started, it was more broad marketing in general. But quickly I realized that Google Ads really had some interesting chances, especially with enough jobs, for example. So yeah, basically I got one job for Google Ads. I just told them that I could do it. I learned everything about Google Ads, and that's how it started. And yeah, I'm just very committed to things. So when I start something, I will be consistent, and that's how it went.
That's interesting. So that also shows from you going to the gym 6 times per week, that you have that commitment and motivation to keep going. Did you always, this is like a sidestep, but did you always have that as a kid, like being committed to something, having the discipline to show up?
Yeah. From an early age, I already had that. It has some downsides because you only will focus on a few things, and you will not try a lot of things maybe. But the big upside is that you get good in something, and you can achieve something. And with work, it was just finding something that I enjoyed, that I got energy from. And Google Ads was the thing, because you can see the revenue increase. You can talk with business owners. And you can also help them with the product, for example, pricing online. You can give them tips. So yeah, with performance marketing, you just see results, and that gives me energy.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And yeah, as I said, it definitely shows in that because you show up. Okay, you go to the gym 6 times per week, but you also post on LinkedIn like 6 times per day. So that's crazy. So when did you start to develop that interest to start sharing news updates, next to sharing your knowledge and everything? But when did you really start to focus on the news?
So I think around 2.5 years ago, I started creating. Maybe 3 years ago, I started with a few posts, but there was no consistency because I did not have my vision right. I was just posting more in general. And then when I started Google Ads, and I knew that this was the way I wanted to go, become a Google Ads freelancer instead of a general marketing freelancer, I found out that I still had enough time for clients. And I knew from my internship, because I helped a CEO with his LinkedIn, that you can get clients through LinkedIn. And I know he posted every day, he posted content. And I was like, okay, why don't I do this just for myself? And in the beginning, of course, I had the feeling like, oh, what are people going to think about me? But I needed more clients because I was only working, I think, 2.5 days. So I can't sit at home the other 2.5 days doing nothing. So created a plan, told myself, okay, in those 2.5 days, I'm going to learn everything about Google Ads. And then I'm just going to share it. And I really found out that a lot of updates were not shared by the big publishers like Search Engine Land, and that Google had a lot of small updates. And not a lot of people were posting about that. So I saw a gap there in the market, and I thought that could be interesting to post about.
Yeah. And then now fast forward, you are probably the number one guy who's posting like these small and big updates. So talking about those, what are some of the biggest news updates that we've seen recently? And maybe are there differences across PMax, search, shopping, different campaign types, etc.? What are we seeing that the industry is moving towards now?
Yeah, I would say general trends is Google just launching products without them being finished. Demand Gen gets a lot of updates. PMax get a lot of updates. GA4 get a lot of updates. So that's one thing. And then they will just release more and more features. And even with the new design, they will give us the new Merchant Center next and also the new user interface design. But they will give us some time, and they will release also new features in the design, like you see with Merchant Center next. So that is a big thing that Google is doing. Another big thing, of course, is generative AI. And I hear everybody talking about creating content in ads, for example, but I think it will also have a big impact on creating reports.
How so?
So data, so that you can just write a prompt and then it gives you the data back. And maybe you can write a really specific prompt.
And have you experimented with that a lot yourself?
Not really at the moment. I'm just waiting therefore.
Yeah.
But also in GA4, in the search bulk, in the search header, you can just write how many visitors I got from the US, for example. So I think that could be something interesting in the future that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, interesting. Hey guys, real quick, if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything in the future. And feel free to share with a friend, colleague, or family member, because that's the only way we can grow the show. All right, back to the show. What are your thoughts on these generative AI features that Google is releasing? Do you think the quality is good? You mentioned that Google's releasing products that are not really finished yet. What are your initial thoughts now that it's being rolled out now?
I would not rely on it, to be honest. It's more to get some ideas, and sometimes you miss maybe a hook or a sentence that could be interesting. But I don't rely on it at the moment. I don't think it's good enough at the moment to fully rely on it.
Yeah, and what trends do you see in the industry? You mentioned we have generative AI, Google Merchant Center next is coming. But are there any like other big trends that you foresee that are maybe happening now or are coming soon?
I still see YouTube growing every quarter again. When you look at the quarter results of Google, they are really pushing YouTube, and also with the shorts, for example, and with the competition with TikTok, for example. I think YouTube, we will see it grow, and there's more and more spend going to YouTube. So that's one big thing. And another big thing, every year they say that broad match is getting better. And every year they're saying that queries are getting more complex. So broad match is just becoming, I would say, more important, especially with the complexer queries that we're getting.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on broad match in general then? Do you see good results with it?
Yeah, seeing good results, but it also depends a bit on the market, for example. In some markets, you have a few queries that really gain a lot of traffic and are really transactional. And in other markets, you have longer, complexer queries. So you really need to look at the product and the market that you're in. That's really important. And just do not use some context. So look at the market and do not look as broad match in general.
Yeah. So looking into the future with the trends and everything that you have just mentioned, what are the things that you are really excited about something that might be coming up soon that others will also find valuable?
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where the visuals are going in Google, how the interface will change in the search page, for example, with the 3D pictures in shopping, how Google is changing, because everybody was talking about, it's just 10 blue links, for example, but that's not the case anymore, especially with more high quality images, and it's easier to create backgrounds, for example. I think when you have St. Patrick's Day, for example, this was an example that they gave. You can just change the background, for example. So I'm really interested in seeing how the search space will change, and we as advertisers can use that. So we get more attributes, more features, for example. And that way, when you're an early adapter to all those things, you can gain a higher ROAS, for example, or POAS.
Yeah. And what are your personal thoughts about the future of PPC? You know, we talk about it a lot in our workshops, in our content. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on how you can, make sure that you stay relevant and future-proof yourself, especially now with all of the AI things that Google is releasing?
Yeah, I think as a freelancer, you will have more clients and working less hours in accounts. You will look more at the strategy of the business, and I think you can learn a lot of skills about business-wise and about CRO, for example. But definitely less in the account and less hours. And I think even the rules are 10% of the Google Ads budget goes to the marketing agency, for example. I think those rules maybe need to change, because it's just a different task that we're getting. Of course, it's maybe a higher level of thinking, so you can ask more money for that. But those rules that were created, I don't know if they apply anymore, to be honest.
So
because I see some companies just asking high fees still, and they can't really do a lot of things in the ads account. And maybe I'm missing some things that they're doing on the background, but I've seen it a few times happening now, and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth to pay that much money, because you can't work in the account all day anymore.
Yeah. So what are you doing to keep yourself future proof and to stay relevant and help your clients on this, more on the business side of things?
So first of all, for me, it's important to just get new clients and to make sure that I have a flow of clients, for example, as a freelancer. That's why I also started with creating the content. So that's one thing that's really important. If you are a freelancer, just stay active. And it's better maybe to say no, and that you know that clients can come to you, than that you just only work on clients, because you also have to work on your business. So that's the first thing, because even after a few years, some clients go away. That's normal. Maybe they hire somebody else, or they have a new employee that's going to do Google Ads, and you can learn Google Ads to them, for example. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is, I will just keep looking at updates and also at companies and how they grow and why do people buy these things, for example. That's really important also, to get a good understanding of the company.
Yeah. And how do you do that? Getting that good understanding of your client's company, business?
Just asking a lot of questions, looking into the data, what products are selling, just doing research in Google, for example, but also just asking the right questions and keep asking the questions, because sometimes the business owner will say something else after a few months. So keep asking questions, good questions, stay sharp, and also look at competition.
Yeah. That's solid. And yeah, I think I totally agree that it's super important now to look beyond just Google Ads and help your clients with their offers and maybe even sales, anything that you, landing pages, anything that you can do to help them outside of just Google Ads. So that's solid. So I would like to talk about LinkedIn for a sec. Because
Of course.
You're growing so fast. But before that, there's actually one thing that a lot of people are actually wondering from you. How do you stay up to date with everything in the PPC world?
So I've created a system with, I just have a sheet with a lot of sources that I just would check 2 times a day. Every evening I will check it, and every morning I will check it. And for example, if I see 3 new news items, I will plan them in for example, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or maybe midnight or in the morning. So I just have my sources. I just have a big tab that I will check every day. So some people may see that I check their LinkedIn profile every day, or their website even. That's just to check if there is any news. And what you see is that a lot of people just only post some new items, and then I will just grab all the news items and post them. So that's really the way. And during the day, I will also check LinkedIn a few times, of course.
Yeah. And what I like about how you share your updates is that if you see someone share something before you, then you will give them the credits. I think some people are also just trying to take credit for just reposting someone else's work. And I think what you're doing is nice, because you always give credit. Oh, this was found by this person. And then maybe you give your own observations, or you just share the news update. I think that's awesome. So then on LinkedIn, we all know how fast you are growing. Like, it's crazy. When I had around 30 or 35K followers, I think you were somewhere around 20. And then we both started to grow. I was like around 40. You came closer. And then at some point you flipped me and you had more followers. And then now you're getting like, I don't know, maybe 5,000-10,000 new followers per month. So you're growing like crazy. Probably the biggest active account in all of the PPC industry. So that's super cool to see. So I would love to know from you, and for anyone who is maybe not posting on LinkedIn as much, how has LinkedIn impacted your career as a Google Ads specialist, and what can other people learn from that in terms of how it might be beneficial to them?
So yeah, LinkedIn has meant a lot for my career, getting clients. I think if I would not have used LinkedIn, maybe I would just went back to a regular normal job just a 9 to 5 because I did not get clients. I was too young to have a good offline network. I didn't know the right people. So I always say you need to have an offline network or an online network or both, even better. But I knew there were a lot of chances online. So yeah, without LinkedIn, it was just 9 to 5. And I would just recommend everybody to start posting and don't look at other creators that are already posting every day, or maybe they are posting just really advanced content. Just if you're not posting, just start with 1 post and then maybe 2 and then 3, and then just work on it. And you can even start with news items or more evergreen content. Just maybe you're too scared to give your opinion in the beginning, because a lot of people in your head, you're thinking like, oh, people are going to think something about me when I post, or they can react negative on this. But start small and then just grow. That's the most important thing for me.
Did you have that voice in your head when you started? So maybe some people are going to think something about it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I waited so long. And then the pain of not having enough clients and not working enough was just was too much pain, to be honest. And then I was like, I need to do this, and nobody else is going to give me clients. So I gave myself an ultimatum of 1 year to just post every day, learn everything, and if I would not get new clients, I would just go back to 9 to 5 job. So that was my goal.
Nice. And how long did it take you to get that first client?
I think it was maybe 2 months.
That's
also another thing. I didn't went viral in one week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Of course, some people saw me, but the mistake that I made was writing about news. You still get clients, but other clients. So business owners, maybe who are more into Google Ads, will search for your content. PPCers will search for more your content. But that's a big thing. When PPCers think that they need to post just like me about news, but your ICP is not news items normally. So.
And ICP is ideal client profile, right?
Yes, that's correct. And it's more about what Google Ads can mean for a company, for example, and which mistakes they are making, and not about new shiny objects. So I think that a lot of PPCers post too much stuff that is for PPCers.
Yeah. Interesting. So what is then, you mentioned, talk more about the issues and challenges that business owners have, but what do you recommend to new people who maybe are thinking about, okay, I want to also get more clients on LinkedIn or build my personal brand or whatever it is? What advice can you give them in terms of how to get started? How do they think? Because a lot of people don't know. They think that they don't have anything to talk about. They maybe think that they are not qualified, and they just don't know what to post. So what would you say to those people?
So first of all, of course, if I would say create a branded campaign, every PPCer would react on my post like, yeah, of course. That's what I always do. But a lot of business owners don't understand that.
Yeah.
So if you create a network with more business owners and write for them, they will value that content. And you do not need to think about other PPCers, because you're not writing for other PPCers. You're writing for the business owners. So just find some subjects that are interesting for your target ICP and write for them. And you do not need to care about other PPCers, because you're not entertaining them, to be honest. Another thing is that I would create enough content to plan it in the future, so that you get that consistency, because maybe you forget one time and then you're like, no, I'm a person that forgets the right content. I will just focus on other things. Just try to stay consistent, create some content. For example, when I went on vacation, I went away for 3 weeks. I just sat down one Saturday afternoon. I created, I think, 21 items, planned it all in. And I just had enough content for 3 weeks. And of course, when I was on vacation, I could still check 1 hour a day and still post everything. But I already had planned everything. So I knew if I would have 1 day off, for example, no stress. It was already planned.
Yeah. Smart. And how do you think people can get in build a network of these business owners, as you said? Because you're always going to attract other PPCers as well. But how do you find those business owners on LinkedIn, or how do you make sure that they can find you?
So you have different strategies. For example, you can just search for them, and really good searching. So not general searching. I just add them, look at the profile. Are they active? Are they liking stuff? Do they get new connections? Do they have a good picture? Do they have a good headline? Because when you add them, you maybe want to talk to them in the future. And if you're just adding an inactive account, that's just one invite that is just, you just threw it away, right? So that's more a sniper tactic. Just really look at the accounts, like what companies do you want to attract? Are those small companies? Are those big companies? Who are you talking to? Is it the business owner? Is it the marketing manager? Really have a good target ICP and focus on them. And also look at the feedback that you're getting. Who is liking you? Who is watching your profile? Who is adding you? Those are all feedbacks that you get from the system.
Yeah, and then you add, so let's say, for example, you see someone, a business owner, you see that he visited your page. Do you add them and then send them a DM, or how does that work from there on?
Depends on how eager you are to get sales, for example. Right. If you have a bit of time, for example, I would say you do not need to maybe message them directly. Maybe just because when you add them, they will accept you. And this is what I heard, and I believe this is true. The first week, for example, they will see your content a bit more, for example. So normally I myself would not send them a message directly, even in the beginning. I would just wait. They can see my content a few times. They know what I'm about, what I'm talking about. And then I can send them a message 1 or 2 weeks after, for example. So that's one strategy that you can do. You can check who's looking at my profile, but you can also just search for them in the search bar, or you can react on their post and create a small relationship there. And also other people will see your reactions. And that's also really important, reacting on other posts.
Yeah. So what are the benefits of that?
Just everybody sees you reacting. So you're just stealing some impressions from somebody else's post, for example. Yeah. And if you're sharing good insights, people will have a better image of you, for example. So I love how Bob, for example, sometimes he posted funny stuff on my post, and his reaction would get more likes than my post, but at the end, I'm still getting more impressions, and people just know Bob is a funny guy. He's really chill. He's really relaxed. Okay, maybe I will invite him for a podcast, or when he creates stuff, I know he's a good guy, for example. So that's also good for his image.
Yeah, smart. And I guess if you comment on business owners' posts, they probably have a network of other business owners who can also see that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, very nice. So in the early stages of starting on LinkedIn, I think that's probably the most difficult stage, because going from 0 followers, or let's say around 100, most people have some friends from school from back in the day and a few hundred connections. Going from that to 1,000, I think that's the hardest step. So do you have any tips on how to grow in that early stage?
Yeah, so like the giveaways can really work, but if you're not really active, I think LinkedIn can block you, because they will see normal activity and then really high activity. Because I don't get blocked on LinkedIn at the moment. And I think that is because I'm just really active, and the system thinks that, oh, that's just Adrian. He's really active. But I think that can work. Free giveaways to grow quick in the beginning. And just more complex content maybe, but that could also be a bigger step to create content. But if you're just showing other content and you go in your own lane, for example, like 𝗏𝗏 did, he created the picture with his head, and he would only do certain updates that he found himself, for example, and that was just unique in his way, and he grew really quickly. Yeah. So to grow really quickly, I think you need to give more effort. That's just it.
Fair enough. And so what are you doing now in terms of your own content? I know that you're posting a lot of news updates. I see you post more video, giveaways, conversion tracking stuff. How do you decide for yourself what you are posting, and what does your personal approach to your content creation look like?
So some people maybe have something like, I will do one personal post, I will do one video, I will do one tip. But for me, I just have ideas in my head and I want them to go out of my head, create things. Maybe sometimes I want to learn things myself, or want to see how something is working, and then I will just make a video of it. So I do not really have a general guidance of, okay, I will post this thing or that thing. I will just post every update that I see. And normally I will do one video a day, for example, or one PDF a day, for example.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. I think that was a really good insight into how you use LinkedIn and how people can do that. And I'm sure that we could talk hours about this on how you can leverage LinkedIn. But I guess the summary would be anyone can benefit from it because you attract new opportunities. I think if both of us would not start posting on LinkedIn, we wouldn't even be on this podcast now together.
No, and the funny thing is that I'm just leading that traffic to my website, for example. And people maybe will say, oh, but what if they remove your LinkedIn? I still have my website. And you, for example, have the newsletter still. And that newsletter is filled with PPC specialists. So you could also use LinkedIn to get traction on your own channel and to create an audience on your own channel. So if you're in a position like, I don't want to invest in LinkedIn because it's just a channel, and maybe in 5 years it's another channel, and is LinkedIn here to stay? You can just use that traffic to get a community somewhere else.
Yeah, really smart, man. There's so much value on LinkedIn still. I think this is probably the only channel where you can get so much organic reach. Even though it's decreasing for some people, it's still so much more than on X or on YouTube, just organically. It's maybe not shorts, but it's crazy.
The best day to begin was yesterday, and the day after is just today. Really, it's crazy how much impressions you can still get. And I think, with Instagram in the beginning, it was also you are following people, unfollowing people, and you wanted to get in the feeds of people. And with LinkedIn right now, there's still so much impressions that you can get. And I think also a lot of people don't post on LinkedIn. It's maybe a few % only. So you can get a lot of eyes on you. And I would just recommend everybody to use it. And even businesses that I help with Google Ads, I will tell them, oh, are you using LinkedIn? I can also help you with LinkedIn if you want.
Organic LinkedIn.
Yeah, organic. I will just give them tips. And if they want, I can create some content for them. But normally I will just give them some tips, some lists, for example. I even helped companies with direct messaging, adding people, for example.
Yeah, very cool, man. Very cool. So before we round this up, I have a few rapid fire questions that I want to ask you. So it's just this or that. No, it depends. And no, don't elaborate on your answer, okay?
Yes.
The first one is PMax or standard shopping?
PMax.
Ooh. Google Ads has advertisers' best interest in mind. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Broad maths, yes or no?
Yes.
AARs, automatically applied recommendations, bad or good?
Bad.
Manual bidding or smart bidding?
Smart bidding.
Okay, 2 more. Will all match types except broad be gone in 2 years?
No.
We'll still have phrase and exact?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one is, will search and shopping campaigns be around in 2 years?
Yes.
Cool. Nice. All right, then I have one last question to close off the episode. If you had to share 3 golden nuggets about driving results with Google Ads, what would that be? Or maybe even LinkedIn, because I know that you are such a thought leader on that side as well. 3 golden nuggets that you want to share.
Expand what is working. Test new things. And I would say this has more to do with test things. Just don't, because something does not work today, maybe it will work next week. Just give it a chance. So it's really expanding things. Quit what is not working, and keep testing new things. Just find things. I'm not doing the same thing as I was doing in the beginning, to be honest. I will just test things, and maybe it's luck that something is working, and I will just expand it. But if it's working, I will use it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Very nice. So where can people follow you, Adriaan?
They can follow me on LinkedIn, Adriaan Dekker. They can follow me on Instagram, Adriaan Dekker. They can follow me on TikTok. Also,
nice.
I think Adrian PPC. I don't even know, to be honest. And on Twitter, I think on Twitter it's also Adrian PPC. But yeah, I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. I have my own website, Adriaan Dekker. There is some delay in the news sometimes, but I'm trying to fix that part to get more a good news overview there. And I still have the newsletter, for example, on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to that, guys. 100% recommend that. And you also have you're building out you have a LinkedIn template, a Google Ads optimization checklist, and new newsletter. Where can people find those?
Yeah, so on my website you can find my template. That's a big list that I will update with new videos, new PDFs, new tips, because Google's changing things all the time. And also all the settings. You can find all the settings with documentation, with the link to Google. And then besides that, I'm also building a paid newsletter where I will do a deep dive into the news items, because it takes so much time to already write about all the news items. And I still think there is a gap in how do you really implement all those news items? What do they mean? Where can I find the source? I'm even thinking about maybe creating some videos about, for example, new futures and walk through them. There's still a gap, and it just takes so much time that I was thinking, how can I still give enough time to this and make it work for me? So that's why I started a paid newsletter, and you can also find that on my website.
Cool. And that's adriaandekker.nl.com?
Yes, still .nl.
Okay. Just Google for it and you will find it. All right, man. Well, thank you for coming. Oh, by the way, is it a monthly or weekly newsletter? What's the cadence?
So every week. So for a month. You just get it every Sunday, and it's just a deeper dive. You will not have to search for things really yourself anymore. So I will just tell more about it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I recommend everyone to sign up, because as I said, you are my primary source of news insights. I love how you have shared your value always on LinkedIn, also in Discord. You've done that for a long time, and now in the PPC Hub as well. It's really cool to see that. So thanks for coming on the podcast, and feel free to come back anytime.
Thanks for having me, and I would love to come back.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening, and catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right. That's the end of this episode of the PPC Mastery Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you don't want to miss any future episodes, we're going to be back next week. Then don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend, family member, or a colleague, because that's the only way we can grow this show. Now, there's 2 more things I want to share with you if you want to take your Google Ads game to the next level. The first one is, if you want to get advanced Google Ads tips delivered straight into your inbox on Mondays and Fridays, head over to ppcmastery.com/newsletter to subscribe to our newsletter called the PPC Edge. And next to that, if you want to really take your skills to the next level and become the best Google Ads specialist you can possibly be, then consider joining the PPC Hub, which is our coaching and community platform for experienced Google Ads specialists. You can find everything about it on ppcmastery.com/hub. And with that said, I'll catch you in next week's episode. Peace.